Hello everyone, how's it going? Let's get this pinned in here. Perfect. All right, so hello, welcome in everyone. This is your Astrology Saturday. With your host with the most, Chad the Maverick. So this week is going to be another very important week, as every week has been this most recent time frame. But what we're going to be going through today is going to be mainly the Mercury retrograde as well as the Mars retrograde that's happening, because these are two placements I want to give a little bit more attention to, as these are going to be very much affecting the rest of the week on and hereafter. So hello everyone, welcome in. For y'all who made it to the new moon in Libra celebration last night, we were really able to break down the new moon in Libra that has just finished its pathway just today, because the moon just shifted into Scorpio. Make sure I see everything. Cool. So that's the way that's going to end up going. I'm really excited to be bringing you all, right, a lot more classes on astrology. So this upcoming month, coming in November, please be on the lookout, and I will be updating you as this happens. We're going to be having a lot more classes on astrology. So please stay tuned. I'm going to be breaking that down. Also, the new moon and full moons as well. I'll be covering those. So you guys are up to speed, up to date, and you know what's going on in the universe and in the world. Another thing too, if you haven't gone to any of the classes yet that we offer them over Zoom. So they're $10 a piece. We have different practitioners. We have Patty, who teaches practical magic. We have Ryan, who teaches practical magic as well. We have Bree that does her crystal talks every Thursday. And we have myself doing classes on astrology as well as breaking down the information. Also, feel free to make sure that you check out tomorrow House of Intuition Crystals, because there is a crystal auction every Sunday as well, getting you the crystals that you need and getting you everything that you need as far as your spiritual needs and metaphysical products are concerned. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about this retrograde before I even break down the astrology, right? I did do a class on Mercury retrograde, so if anyone did show up to the class, you know the real scoop about everything that's going on. But I do want to still break it down in a little more simple sense in order for people to understand what's going on with this Mercury retrograde, what's going on with the energies that are at hand, right? So Mercury has just gone retrograde the other day. It was so with Mercury just going retrograde, it has just went back a single degree so far. So Mercury retrograde is officially started, right? The main thing about Mercury retrograde, people hear that and they get very tense, right? They get very like, oh, Mercury retrograde, oh no, that means everything's gonna fall apart, and oh no, this is happening. And to a certain extent, I can understand where that comes from. However, the main thing about Mercury retrograde that needs to be known is that this is a time for reflection. It's a time for review. It's a time for changing up things, making the necessary adjustments and the revisions in order for things to work out smoothly, in order for things to change, be a little bit different, right? With this Mercury retrograde going through Scorpio, what's happening is we're getting into a new sense of our feelings, right? We're reviewing, we're accessing, we're revamping how we feel about things, how we interact with the things that we do feel, right? There's a certain sense of the universe trying to bring clarity as far as how you feel. It's trying to bring clarity as far as the things that you are being aware of, things that you are being intuitively led to see, right? Now, one thing about Mercury retrograde, sometimes you could trip up on your words, as you may see here in a very slight bit. But the reason why is because Mercury is, like I said, is trying to promote everyone to slow down, to tap into themselves in order to really harness and understand what's going on. Now, what's important about this Mercury retrograde, though, is that this is happening opposite Uranus, which I'll be explaining in the astrology as we go along. But with this opposition to Uranus, right? Uranus is it represents the heavens. It's the very higher nature, higher force, higher energy as far as all of that's concerned, right? It connects us to our inner genius. It connects us to our most creative genius, right? That's what Uranus is doing down in Taurus, right? That's why there's been a lot of innovation and revolution as far as beauty, home, security, everything along the lines of that has been being innovated within this past time frame since Uranus came into Taurus, I believe a year or two ago. Now what's happening is, right, with this Mercury making its opposition, our minds are going to have to find almost epiphanies within ourselves, right? We need to find these new sense of epiphanies as far as how we can end up promoting a healthier lifestyle as far as our emotions, how we feel, and how we communicate how we feel, how we think. Like, how do we really investigate the internals of our mind in order for us to be able to communicate those deep-seated feelings, those deep thoughts that we have, those things that we have looked into, right? That's the whole purpose behind this Mercury and Scorpio retrograde. Now, the other retrograde happening, which is what I titled this, right, is also going to be the Mars retrograde that has been going on. So for any of you who've been here, I've been over Mars retrograde, but I do want to break it down again just to give you a little more insight as to what's been happening on top of that, right? So with Mars in retrograde, a main thing that ends up popping up is that people are very ready to just do stuff. Mars in Aries is a very direct, it's very, I feel this, I think this right now, I'm already doing it, right? It's a very think before you act kind of energy. It's very impulsive as far as that's concerned. And that pulse is very connected to the life force of Earth, right? Earth don't stop and like wonder, hey, what's going on? If there needs to be something that happens on Earth, the Earth gonna do it. Like, you know what I mean? So the Mars in Aries, right, is very like adamant, very passionate, very in your face and ready to go. So with this Mars in retrograde, right? Making this opposition to the sun, what's happening is we're going to have to slow down. We're going to have to review the things that we do. We're going to have to see, hey, you know, I could do this, but how's it going to affect other people? Or like, hey, I could do that, but like, how is this going to like really lead to better partnership? We're still in Libra season, which is about partnership. So it's like being able to slow down, edit, and revise what you're trying to do. And that's a big thing that I'm trying to get at. And I think that's a big topic for this week in general. That's why I wanted to cover it directly first, is that this whole week is very much, since there's not a lot of new shifts happening, the older shifts that have happened are going to be a little bit more present. So I wanted to break down these two retrogrades because it is a time to like slow it down and take your time. Don't stop the things that you're doing. Don't stop what you're going towards. Don't stop any of that. But be sure that you take a little bit of time out, add a little bit more patience to not only yourself, but to other people. So this whole patience aspect is what's going to make or break these retrograde periods, right? Now, mind you, these retrograde periods are both going to be ending in November. Mercury retrograde ends early November, whereas I believe Mars retrograde ends around the second week of November, right? But what's happening is like this is a time frame, once more, to go within, to touch inside of your internal facets and be like, hey, maybe I could do more of this, or hey, maybe I should do less of that, right? So it's kind of like figuring out, balancing out, and realizing, what do you need to put your passions towards? What do you need to put your identity on? What do you need to put your stamp of approval towards the next step, towards your next greatest thing, right? This is also the last week of Libra season, right? So whereas all the themes of Libra season are about promoting tranquility, promoting balance, promoting harmony, right? Well, these are all going to be basically crystallized, and we're going to be bringing this over into this Scorpio season. What Scorpio season is going to mostly be about is this real integration of everything that Mercury and Scorpio is working on, right? So Scorpio season is going to be like, hey, we've now taken all these thoughts, we've gotten into the internal layers of ourselves, we've been able to accept these internal parts of ourselves. So what's next, right? And that's what Scorpio season is going to be about. I will be breaking down Scorpio season and everything that's coming up with that in all these upcoming live streams. But I did want to give you a little bit of semblance into how this is going as far as the whole route of it is concerned, right? So that's going to be a little bit on Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde. I'll be breaking down more of the I'm gonna be breaking down every Mercury retrograde that we have. We have 3 a year, but I'll be breaking those down. Then I'm also going to be breaking down the new moons and full moons, all of that. So please stay tuned. Stay tuned with the classes as well as the live stream, so I'll be able to let you know what's going on as far as all that is concerned. Once more, Mercury retrograde is going on for about the next 2.5 weeks. So if anyone is still concerned about Mercury retrograde, or anyone still wants to do a little bit of work for the Mercury retrograde, be sure to hop into a house of intuition, grab the Mercury retrograde candle, because that does wonders, I'm telling you. So go and grab that, grab a couple crystals that you might feel resonate with you in order for you to like help dive deeper into this facet of yourself in order for you to really bring out the best self forward when the time comes. So that's just a little bit, like I said, before I start breaking down the actual astrology of the week. So once more, so I have, if you're looking for classes, once more, I have a class coming up this Monday to end off Libra season, which is going to be the asteroids of love in astrology. We're going to be breaking down the different asteroids of love, touching on all aspects of love, right? Whether that be romantic, platonic, friendship. We're going to be talking about all the asteroids within the birth chart that touch on these topics, right? To help promote you to become a better person, as well as a better person to bring in and just express unconditional love in that process. So I'm going to be breaking all of those things down on this upcoming Monday. Then the Monday after that, I have a class that's going to be coming up on the chakras through astrology. Have you ever been like, hey, I want to open up my chakras, but you just didn't know exactly how to do it? Or hey, like I want to open up this, but you're like, how does this work? What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be breaking down how the astrology that you have lines up perfectly to your natal chart, so you can learn how to better open up your personal chakras, right? Because someone may be able to open up their sacral chakra in a different way that you are, but if you know what sign is activated, what signs are working with that, you have a better understanding as to how you can personalize that energy and make it work better for yourself. So enough of that. Let's get into the astrology of the week. So this week, right, we're starting off today. So today, this Saturday, we have the moon in Scorpio making its conjunct to Mercury, right? Remember before I was just explaining the Mercury opposing Uranus? So right now, our emotions, our intuitions, we're really tapping into this sense and layer of like, we have to dive in to the deeper parts of ourselves in order to innovate these deeper parts of ourselves. How are we going to innovate the deeper parts of ourselves so it's just like out there? So it's just exposed for the world to see, because that's the way that that's supposed to go in that sense, right? It's about really expressing this form of emotion in order for you to not have to necessarily verbally say everything as much as it is to just express it and be that, right? So what this Mercury on the moon is trying to do is make your communications be tapped in with how you really feel. And that's pretty much what's happening as far as that's concerned. So this is a good time to start speaking that truth. If you don't speak the truth, speak the truth. This is the time to start doing it, right? Like, how do you feel? How do you really like, what are you really picking up on? How do you feel? And how are you going to be able to communicate that while still offering your innovative genius in the process? So even if you are communicating something, what can you even do to innovate that on top of that and make things better? So that's going to be really what's going on as far as that energy is concerned, starting today on Saturday, right? So moving on to Sunday, we have the Sun in Libra making a square over to Saturn and Capricorn. So as I've mentioned, Capricorn and the planets in Capricorn is the reason why the world fell apart earlier this year. So it's in simple terms, right? But the way that this is working, right, with the Sun in Libra making a square here, what we're doing is that we're kind of pushing through the limits on what we were able to do as far as like partnerships concerned. We're breaking through the limits as far as what we find that we can connect with in other people, right? We're breaking through these personal limits. And as this is happening, Venus is also making its opposition to Neptune, right? So Venus has been in Virgo, which is about basically making practical moves as far as like love's concerned, as far as money is concerned, as far as business and finance is concerned, right? That's going to basically be really popping off with that. Now with the opposition to Neptune, what's happening is you're kind of in this situation and in this area where you're trying to kind of branch in your lofty ideals with reality. So it's kind of like bringing in and trying to manifest a new reality, manifest a new sense of stability, right? A new sense of like, hey, I can bring in my dreams in a practical manner. Or like, hey, I really want to be like, I want to be a fitness model or a fitness guru. So then it's like, okay, you want to do that? Well, the practical thing to do is that you now need to make a workout regimen. So this is the kind of day where it's like, you're going to be bridging in the dream, but you have to be able to practicalize that and make something practical that you can do every day in order to achieve it better. The last thing happening on this day, Mars in Aries making it square over to Jupiter. So this is going to be one of those days where it's like you're going to want to kind of branch out and almost break out of your own mindset. So if you have like a limited mindset, or you're not someone who's very like open or out of the box, this is definitely the type of day that's going to force you to like open your mind and think outside of the box. So it's like, hey, this is who I am, right? And with square over to Jupiter and Capricorn, which is about expansion in business, expansion in luck, expansion in fortune on a monetary level as well, right? What's going on with this Mars and Aries is that it's like, hey, what can I do in order to make these things push forward, as well as maintaining my own self and maintaining my own integrity in the process, right? Because that's really coming up, is integrity. Are you going to risk your integrity to do something just because you see like a opportunity that may make you a lot, but risking your integrity in the process? Or are you going to stick with your integrity, hold on to that, and then let Jupiter later on reward you for sticking to your guns, for sticking to who you are, and sticking to what you're able to bring to the table? So that's something that may be popping off for some of you this upcoming Saturday. But I wanted to break that down in the transits in order for you to see that as well, right? Now, once more, for anyone who is just coming in or has just shown up, my name is Chad the Maverick. I'm an astrology teacher here at House of Intuition. I'm going to be teaching classes like a madman in like a couple months. So we're going to be going through a lot of astrology. If you ever were looking to learn astrology in any regard, I'm here. So feel free to check out that on every day that pops up. Look on the website. It always says view classes, so you're able to see the classes for the upcoming months. And be sure to sign up for those, and we'll have the Zoom class, and that's the time we'll do that. On top of that, just as a side note, for anyone who is looking for services or looking for a reading, I am still running readings. My website is chadthemaverick.com, so feel free to check that out. But before you check that out, feel free to definitely check out all the other classes that we offer, and to go through the website for House of Intuition. See that, grab whatever candles and crystals that you need, in the whole nine. So just wanted to throw that out there before we get on to Monday, which is a coming up, right? So this Monday that's coming up, right? We have once more this Mercury in retrograde opposing this Uranus in retrograde. But we have Venus in Virgo making its trine over to Jupiter. So what's happening on this day, right? Our minds, our higher mind, lower mind, are basically trying to come to a balance. And with this balance, what's trying to happen is, or what's going to be happening is, we're going to be practicalizing this balance of what we want on both of our mind scales, our higher mind, our lower mind. We're going to be like, okay, how can we make this something? How can we make this a thing? What can we do to bring this into like physical reality, right? So as you bring it into physical reality, what's happening is Jupiter is here to expand it. So it's almost like, let's say you planted a seed in a garden, and as soon as you water, it starts to sprout. Like, that's the kind of data that is, as far as like, hey, like, I want to make this. I've been thinking about this. I've been trying to dream this. I know this is what I want to do. I want to build this garden, right? You put in the seed, you water it for 2 seconds. It's almost like the magic beanstalk, where it's like, how did this happen so fast, right? That's the type of data that is. So it's a really good day for like manifesting what you want, as far as like anything that's physical, to be honest. Like anything that you can like physically touch, anything that you can like grab. This is like a good thing for like if you want to manifest like items and stuff. This is low-key a good day for it as far as the astrology is concerned. So definitely check that out, and check out how that works in your own chart as well, so you'll know exactly what to do. So moving on, right? This Tuesday that's coming up. So on Tuesday, we have the sun going into 28 degrees Libra. So this is basically the final stand of Libra season, the best way to put it, right? So what's happening is this is going to be a day that's going to be highlighting very strongly all of the themes that Libra season has been going through thus far, or has been showing us thus far. On top of that, not only is it the last days of Libra season, but what's also going on is that we're going to have the moon hitting the galactic center point. So the best way to put this is that there's going to be, on a galactic scale, it's like if you haven't, let's say, partnered with anybody in this time frame, you haven't like really gotten close to any new people, or you haven't necessarily been like in these new situations with new friendships or anything like that, if none of that has happened for you, which I very much doubt, because that's pretty much what this whole month has been about, But if any of that hasn't happened to you, then this is the day where it just comes in, it just starts to pop off. So like, just be mindful of that. There's going to be a lot of potential, like, I want to say like fated meets in a sense, where it's like these are now the people that are going to be helping you as far as like what your dream is and as far as what you want to do towards. The best way I'm gonna frame this is your artistry, right? Because Libra is the sign of art. So as far as your artistry is concerned, but not just your artistry, but how are you grabbing your paintbrush in your life? How are you grabbing the paintbrush? What are you going to want to create? What are you going to want to bring into as we enter this Scorpio season, right? So, and what Scorpio season is going to be doing is, whereas the Libra season, this 28 degrees Libra, is you grabbing the paintbrush for the first time. What Scorpio season is going to teach you is how do you mix those paints together the right way in order to make the colors that you want to show. How are you going to mix in all of those colors in order for it to like create the best like landscape, right? I'm thinking like Bob Ross. Like, there's no accidents though. If Bob Ross was a Scorpio, if I'm not mistaken, so there's no accidents, there's none of that, right? So that's the whole idea behind that type of energy as far as that's concerned. Now, that's going to be for Tuesday, right? Moving on, we're going into Wednesday. Venus in Virgo seems like the MVP of the week. It keeps popping up. So Venus in Virgo, once more, like bridging in practical love, practical ideas as far as money and such is concerned, is making its trine over to Pluto and Capricorn. So now it's like, hey, you know that beanstalk that you just grew that I was just talking about, like the beanstalk that grew? Well, this is very similar to the actual story, actually, because if I'm not mistaken, in the story of that, they first started to grow. Then they left it alone and was like, all right, cool. It's growing way faster than I expected. And then he left. I believe he left for like a day or two. And when he came back out the next day and the whole entire beanstalk was going up into the skies, that is what that day is about with Pluto and Capricorn there, where it's like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, I made this manifestation. Oh, I started to see it go. Or like, oh, I did this practical thing. I started this practical journey. I started this practical schedule, whatever the case may be for you. And you're going to start to see like results super fast. And the whole reason behind that is if you keep that and you keep that same energy of, hey, I'm going to make this practical as possible. Hey, I'm going to be able to try to show up every day to this thing. You're going to see that, like I said, that stalk go from like just a little bit to in very quick time. So I just wanted to point that out for y'all. That's going to be happening on this Wednesday, right? Now, one other thing Venus is doing on this day is that it's making it's a good old square over to the North Node in Gemini. The North Node being destiny. So maybe it is your destiny to like create that beanstalk, right? Maybe it is your destiny to like climb up that beanstalk. I never know, right? Climb up to like the actual beanstalk. What's at the top of it? What's over there in the clouds? What's in that sky area, right? Like, this is a kind of a time frame where it's like you're going to be fighting the self of like, is it really practical to climb up this magical beanstalk that I just somehow created in the last 2 or 3 days? Is it really practical for me to do that? And this is the time frame where you're going to have to decide. Are you going to push through your fears and make this happen? Are you going to push through what you feel is limiting you and then like make that climb? Or are you going to sit down and have someone else climb it up and find out all the treasures at the top that you could have found yourself? That choice is up to you. But there is a choice nevertheless on this day with that square with Venus to the North Node. So the beanstalk gonna grow. So it's like, are you gonna climb up and find out the hidden treasures at the top, or are you just gonna sit there at the bottom and just wonder? Choice is yours. Last thing on this day, last thing on this Wednesday that's coming up, right? We have Lilith entering Taurus. So Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Lilith calculation for this. But Lilith is going to be making a shift from Aries, which has been very much about pushing forward the truth, right? It's about pushing forward the truth of not only just a regular truth, but like the truth of the divine feminine as well. That's really what I always akin Lilith to. Lilith is like the true spokesperson of like the divine feminine in a very unbridled and raw, authentic, passionate way. It's like, this is how I feel. What's up? So Lilith has been in Aries, so the divine feminine in a sense, right, has been very much tapping into the warrior essence of this, right? Now with this going into Taurus, this is kind of shifting as all of that like raw energy that I was just talking about is now shifting into a more peaceful place, right? Shifting into a more a place that's closer to like I'm thinking like fine wine and cheese, right? It's like it's shifting into a more sophisticated area. There we go. That's what I'm trying to get. A more sophisticated area. Still keeping that same power, but now it's kind of like there's a temperament that's starting to come in with this Lilith and Taurus being here in that process, right? So that's going to be happening all on Wednesday. Be sure to be on the lookout for that. So let's go into Thursday, right? Because on Thursday, it's the end of Libra season. Thursday, happy birthday to Scorpios. We're going to be having a blog post and some stuff out for you pretty soon. There's also going to be a birthday box for Scorpios. So if you are a Scorpio or know a Scorpio, the birthday box is coming soon. You should totally grab one because they're awesome. Anyway, but that's going to be the birthday box coming in for House Intuition. But the sun's going to be entering Scorpio, right? As the sun is opposing Lilith. So once more, when I was saying that like the Lilith is entering that sophisticated space, Lilith is entering that more like a more like calm and cool type of space, but still holding that same power. And this is making its opposition to Scorpio season as it starts. So as this is happening, it's like all of the intensity that normally comes in with Scorpio season, as people like to say, is still going to be coming in, but it's going to be coming in at a way different level. It's going to almost be like a balance between this like deep intensity war, but also with this like sophisticated polish, right? It's the best way I can kind of put it to you. It's like I'm totally getting into all of these energies, but it kind of feels okay. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, okay, this is kind of cool though. I think we're branching into new things here. So that's kind of coming in as far as the Scorpio season is. And this is part of what this Mercury in Scorpio retrograde is preparing you for. It's like really bringing in and branching in. Hey, what are the things that can come up? So come this Scorpio season, you can purge. You can like become anew, right? I'll always say this: the Scorpio energy at its highest peak is the Phoenix energy. So it's like, what are you going to be like after this quote unquote downfall of the world that we've all seen? How are you going to be rising from the ashes and doing something new? I'm going to be using a bunch of different Scorpio analogies during Scorpio season because there are other animals slash mythological beasts that are associated with that. So I want to break that down a little bit to give you like better understanding. But we'll get there one next time. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But once more, be on the lookout for classes because there is a class that I'm going to be doing coming up soon on a mythology through astrology, and I'll be breaking down a lot of that type of stuff. So like I said, please keep your eye out for the classes. They're going to be popping up in the newsletter as well. Not just my classes, but for Patty and Ryan and all the other practitioners that we have as well. So be sure to look out for that. Lastly, on Friday, but certainly not least, we have the moon in Aquarius is going to be there, making it square over to Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So we're ending off this week before the next live stream I do, right? With a real a breakdown in a sense of, all right, all the things that we've acquired with our knowledge, all the things that we've acquired with this, like with our thoughts. How do we really feel about this? How are we going to express how we feel about this in that process, right? That's what's really coming through as far as that's concerned. It's like, hey, I think all these things. I've revolutionized how I thought. So how am I going to convey all the things that I thought? How am I going to speak upon all the things that I thought to other people so they can understand me? Even if it's something off the wall, even if it's something like very unique to you or very original to you, how are you going to be able to convey that to other people, right? Just kind of like basically breaking down all the not excessive, but like I don't say excessive, all the excessive and brilliant thoughts that you have, and like how are you going to break it down into like more so every man's term or layman's terms in order for everyone to understand you around you so they can get to a better space. But that essentially right there is going to be the astrology of the week. Please keep in mind once more, Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde are going to be still making its impact. So please slow down, take time to review, analyze, and then do some different things for yourself that you think can up your power. I like how I said up your power, just hear the room in the background, but it's up your power, up your personal power, your personal growth, and etc. So that's going to be it just about for me today. Outside of that, once more, please check out the classes. Check out houseofintuitionla.com. Make sure that you check out our different candles. We have a Scorpio box coming soon. So if you know any Scorpios or anything along the lines of that, be sure to check them out as well. But yeah, appreciate you all for showing up. Thank you so much for your time. I do not know how to end this now because it's a new It's definitely new. But until next time, y'all. Appreciate y'all.